Today we are going to learn how to produce bar plots with strip charts on top of them. In the previous video, we did the same thing with box plots having strip charts on top of them. The code we are going to use here is a modification of the code for the previous video. After we plot the graphs in Arrow, we are going to use Inkscape, which is a vector editing program, to try to modify the graph to make them look in a way that can be sent for publication. And as indicated before in previous videos, the rationale for such graphs will be that they present data in a very transparent manner. And it's been a trend in the sciences, in the literature, for reviewers or journals to ask you to overlay your bar plots with strip charts so that every independent person reading your paper will be able to interpret the data in a better manner. So let's go ahead now and open R and start to plot the graphs. First, we are going to start R, and then I'm going to go here and go to File, then click on it and go No Script, and I'll grab some code which I've written here, and I'm going to take Ctrl A to select all, and then Ctrl C to copy. I come back to my arrow and I go to the arrow editor and I take Ctrl V to paste. Then I go up here to Windows and then click on it and then say Tile Vertically. This way we have this window on the left and the console on the right. Next, let's see what this code means. I'm going to call this up in another editor that highlights with colors so that you understand better. The code basically begins with my.data, which is going to read a table that will save in the clipboard. The header is true, and this is the code for reading in data. If you want to know how to read in data, see our videos number 2 and 3. We're then going to attach the data, and then we're going to use the tapply function to calculate a series of things. First, the mean, the standard deviation, the number of worms, and the standard error of the mean. And to verify that our calculations were okay, we will insert codes in here to produce those results for us. So if they produce them, we know everything was okay here. The tapply function is a function that can be used for calculating these parameters. Next, we are going to create an object called mates, which is going to take the bar plot function with several variables inside. And this will include the mean of the worm or the mean of the thing you're looking for, the X label, the Y label, and then it's going to give a certain Y lim, which is going to show C in brackets 070. And this basically shows where the Y-axis begins from and where it's going to end. You can adjust this to suit your needs. This code up here is going to create a bar plot. To have the error bars, we're going to use arrows, then take brackets and give it several arguments. This will include the object we created up here, meets, the mean of the worm minus standard error of the mean, meets again the mean of the worm plus standard error of the mean. Then we're going to give it a code 3 that is going to give the type of the arrow with 3 parts, and we give it an angle of 90 and a length of 0.1. You can modify all of this if you wish. The 3 parts here for the code shows just how many segments the error bar will be made out of. Next, we go to text if we want to include text into the bar plots, and we give it arguments which will include the object meets. We want it rounded up to 2, and we're going to paste n is equal to n, which is a certain number of worms. To overlay this bar plot with a strip chart, we're going to take this code down here, which is going to take several variables. And here we're going to have yvar maps xfact, and the data is going to be my data. Vertical is true, so it's going to show vertical. Method is jitter. Jitter again is like make some noise. And this is important because if you have a strip chart, you do not want all the points appearing on the same vertical axis. It makes it look boring. Then PCH21, it's going to produce solid cycles. If you want to know what this means, watch our previous video on producing strip charts on box plots. The color is going to be red and the background is going to be yellow. And we go and complete by saying add equal true. We are back on our arrow editor. We're going to place the cursor here just at the beginning of the code and click on that. And then we're going to go back and call up data. I have some data which I produce here, and you're going to have it like this in your notebook, where you may have different towns or different cohorts or different treatment groups. And here you have the subjects, and these are the outcomes. And again, to load this into R, we've decided to create an XFAC, which is the short form for X factor, and a YVAR, which is a short form for Y variable. And to load this into R using the code we've just shown, we're going to copy all of this right down below, take Ctrl C to copy. And then while we've copied this and it is still in the clipboard, we now go to our arrow console, and that is in the clipboard. So we're going to load the data by going up here, and where we see run line or selection, and we go there and click several times to run. So I'm going to click to run, and we see here the data has been loaded into the arrow console. We go again for the run, it is sequentially loaded, run, and now we have an empty space because there's no code there. I did that just to make the text or the code a little bit clean. Now we go to the next one that is going to spit out the mean of the worms. The next is going to spit the standard deviation. The next is going to spit the standard error of the mean. And then we go now to the object meets, and we click, and then we notice that the graph has been produced here on the right side. And this is basically a bar plot taking all the things we've given in this code. So in order to produce the error bars, just like we did for the previous videos on producing bar plots with error bars, we are going to use this function here, arrows, and we go run, and now we have the error bars as we can see here. Then we go again. If we are interested in adding the text, we go run, and it's going to show you how many subjects were in each of the groups. Now if we go for the run, we are now at the stage where we want to add the strip chart on top of this. And you can do this with any kind of plot, just like we did for the box plot. You go run, and you notice you have your strip chart here. Remember that this code is pretty much similar to what we did for the box plot with overlaid strip chart. And in principle, the only difference is here in the middle, where we have things specific to the bar plot. One thing we'll have to notice is that the strip chart is not centered on all of the plots, but this is not a problem. We can correct that while working with the graph in something like Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape. I'll now go forward and right click on this graph and copy as meta file. If we copy as bitmap, we won't be able to edit it in Inkscape. Further, we have several other possibilities. Apart of copying as bitmap, we have the possibility to save as metal file and the possibility to save as PostScript. In some older computers and arrow versions, it may be problematic saving as a meta file. There you prefer to save as a PostScript to load it onto Inkscape or to Illustrator. So right now I'll go and copy as meta file, and then I open a page of Inkscape and I go there and I paste. So here we have in our graph, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that we see the full of our graph, and let me take it to say 150, and we can push this to the side, and then while holding the control key down, I'm going to grab one of the sides and squeeze it in to scale it down, and maybe this is okay. I leave it like that, and we can basically go now and affect each of the individual parts of the graph if we wish. You can select, for instance, the strip chart, and then you move it to sit, let's say, at the center of the graph there, somewhat. And you can do same here, but be careful not to select parts of the graph itself. So you have to go carefully down here, select, and you want to center this, maybe somewhat there. And this already looks not so bad. It's already a little bit centered. So I push it one step a little bit that way. And again, we may not just push them that way. We may want to give them maybe different colors or even alter their sizes. I'm going to do that by selecting and then go to Object and then Fill and Stroke. And then we're going to have that here on the right. And I'm going to go take Fill first and then go here to Flat Color. And we see the present color, which has now been given to this one. We may want to choose it to be any color, like say green. And after we choose green, we may want to change the stroke paint. And here we make it solid. Let's say we make the stroke paint to be red. And then we go to the stroke style. And we may want this to show up in points. And we then can make it bigger a little bit. Let's say that much, up to 2, or say 2.1. And there we see that this may be a little bit too big, and we may just take Ctrl Z to take it back. So I'm going to take Ctrl Z a couple of times to reduce this, and I'll leave it like say 0.8, and we have a look if that is good. It looks good to my eyes. So I'll come here too and select all of this. And right now we have the case that the points are sitting on top of this bar. And if we select everything, we'll be selecting the bars too and eventually affect it. And what you can do is that in such a case, you may do things in layers. We won't handle that here, but let me select by taking these ones by the side first. I go closer so that I miss out the bar like this. Selecting just these ones by the side, and then I can zoom in somewhat and hold the shift key down and select the other further ones like this by clicking on them sequentially. And now all of them are selected, I think. So I can go here to now and put this to 0.8, and we see it is that big. Actually, we may go and then also change the fill. And this time around, I want it, say, to be red. Then I select here and make this to be red like that and choose it here. And we see that there are 2 or 4 there which are still missing, but we can correct that in a bit. Then we go to stroke style, it's 0.8. We want the stroke paint maybe to be something different. And we say this is green. We come here, release that. And I'm going to take the shift key and select these ones that are left individually. And then I go again and repeat the same thing. And then I'm through with this. So I'm going to zoom out again so that I see all of it there. So I'm going to go in here and select these ones carefully without selecting the error bars like that. And then I go here, the stroke, I'm going to give it to 0.8. I type in 0.8 there so that things are visible. And here I want the stroke to stay, say, red. And then I want the stroke paint to be red here. I select it. And then I go to the fill and I want to leave the fill to be yellow or any form of gold. Then I click on the page to release. And we notice that we have our dot plots there. I hope all of the units are similar. The next thing we may want to do is we may think that the bars here are too broad. In that case, what I'm going to do is I'll reduce them a little bit. And what I'm going to do first is to go to the ruler here, click on it, pull a guideline and have it sit here. And then go again to the ruler, pull another guideline and have it sit here. And then I try to make a dimension, which I think is what I want to have for the width of the new bar. And in this case, let me just take something arbitrary, like say I want the new bar to be seated there. Then I use this guideline tool to sit it there. Ideally, what you want to do is maybe to have a guideline seated on the center of the bar. And then you note what is up here on the ruler. So you read the value of the ruler up here, and then you know what units you're going this way to the left and how many units you go to the right. So let's take it this way. Starting with this one, I'm going to go a couple of units to the left, and going with this one, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 units to the right, somewhere there. Go now and select the node tool and then click on the bar, and you're going to have these nodes which you have here. If you hover over them, the color is going to change. To select 2 of the nodes from one side, you can click on the line connecting them this way, and now they are blue. Alternatively, you can select them by clicking one first, holding the shift key down and clicking the other one. Whichever way you select, let the 2 be selected, and then holding the control key down, you pull this to snap with the line, and you notice first that it is the fill, the color that has been pulled. So you go back again and click on this line to select both nodes. So first you click on this to select that node, and then hold the shift key down, click on this to select the next node, and then hold the control key down now, and then push this to snap with the line. We'll do the same thing here. At times when you do that, you notice things are hanging. So you go select that again, hold the control key down to control everything and let it snap to the line. And we do that for this other side too. So you can select the 2 nodes by left clicking and then dragging over them that way. Or you can click on one, hold the shift key down, click on the next. Or you can select them just by clicking on this line, connecting them, and click again the second time to have them selected. Whichever way you select, let the 2 be selected. You hold the control key down and then pull. And this time around the line went first, and we still have the fill hanging. We click on it, and then to select the 2 nodes of the fill, we hold the control key down, select the 2 of them that way, and then pull them to snap on the line. To repeat that quickly for this next 2, what you need to do is to go here and then you look for the Bezier tool, select it, and then come here and let it snap on one of the line. You hold the control key down and then pull it to the next line. When it snaps, you double click to end it. And this one now you can use as a guide by pulling it, holding the control key down and taking it to the next object. And guiding it is pretty simple. In this case, what we'll do is we take one of these guidelines and then try to put it in the center of the line like this, so that it's basically in the center of this axis. Then we can move this one here with the arrowhead key so that it's centralized. Now we can use that line as orientation to create our next guides and have them sit this way. And then just like before, we're going to go here and select the node tool and come back, click here, and then select both nodes by clicking and drawing over them. If it doesn't happen for the 2, we click on the line and both have been selected. We hold the control key down, pull there, and then we come back to get the nodes of the color, hover over them and click and draw, and then hold the control key down and pull to come this way. We repeat the same thing here this way, and we are going to pull this. I say this is still left behind. I hold the control key down and pull. Then we go to the color here and then click on the line that is connecting them, hold the control key down and pull. So we use the selection tool, use our guide, hold the control key down so that it doesn't move arbitrarily. We use this line again and then come here to get the midpoint and then use this guide using the arrowhead key down. I orientate it that way and use this guideline now to fit to that line, and I'm having it that way. Then I'm going to use this other guideline to also fit to the line this way here. And again, we go and here we take the node tool. You basically click on this line once and then click again a second time, and you have those 2 nodes selected just from this angle, and then you hold the control key down and then pull it from one side to fit in there. You go back to the color, click to have both selected, you hold the control key down, pull this line that is left, you click to have the node selected, hold the control key down and pull this node to sit in there. We come this way and click here too. It's selected now. We hold the control key down and pull to snap onto the line. We go back to take the fill, click there, click in the middle to have them selected, and we pull to sit in there. So after we're done with that, we then can basically take away our guidelines. We can do that by just clicking once on the ruler and there will be a way. And this helper, which we have here, we can delete. And so basically what we now have, we have our plot which have been tweaked into such a way that we want it. The bars are now smaller. We can decide to shift them to go closer if we wish. But for now, I'll leave you to do that. And so here is it. We now have our graph, which are basically bar plots with strip charts on top of them. And we produce this in R, and we've been able to adapt them in Inkscape or Illustrator just the way we want them to be. Thank you for watching this video. If you find what I'm doing to be helpful to you, please consider subscribing below. And do not forget to give a thumbs up or leave your comments. Otherwise, see you in the next video.